host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome in to another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube, on X, on Roku, and on Amazon. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. It all depends on how I feel, but it's a Friday. It's March 7th, 2025, so we have to end your week right by getting you ready to watch some good stuff this weekend. You can get in on the action all day on The Rome Show. If you want to hit the social media, it's The Rome Show 1, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, any social media, or, and most importantly, honestly, follow the mothership, 12OZ Sports, any social media, or most importantly there, youtube.com/12OZ Sports. We got a good one for you today. I mentioned we'll tell you what to watch this weekend. Every single Friday, we love to give you
Watchin.
so you can get ready for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The National Hockey League. Alexander Ovechkin has been something we've been watching all year as he continues to pace towards Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record. Something that, I never thought I would see broken. I don't think anybody, when they watched Wayne Gretzky at the time, when Wayne Gretzky broke the record of 893 or 894, excuse me, I don't think anyone thought that they would see this again. And now here you are. Not just wondering if it's going to happen, just trying to figure out what date, because that's how good Alexander Ovechkin is playing. And on top of going after one of the greatest records of all time, if not the hardest record of all time, possibly maybe making it so that it can't ever be broken again, because who knows? I don't think this is Alexander Ovechkin's last year. Ovi gets together with Hockey Fights Cancer and makes it about a great cause. So we'll get to that at some point today. Before we get to Ovi and before we get to what you're watching, though, we got a lot to get to in the National Football League. The Jags, the Bengals, the Chargers, the Commanders, the Browns. Just a lot of teams that you would expect that want to do things that haven't won a Super Bowl in a minute, that a few teams that feel like they're close and a few teams that are really, really far off. But it continues the trend in the National Football League of a lot of stuff happening right now before the official league starts on March 12th. So all of that, and then there's like 13 other things. So here's what we're going to do to start. I'm just going to give you some really quick headlines from the last 12 to 14 hours of sports, and then we will get into the few things that we just mentioned here on the show. Speak English, Andrew. Here are your really quick headlines from Thursday into Friday. First and foremost, okay, in the National Basketball Association, the Los Angeles Lakers won their 8th straight contest, beating the New York Knicks at home 113-109 in overtime. To complete this victory, LeBron James, he went off 31 points. Luka Doncic, he went off 32 points. The two combined for 63 points. But I think what's even cooler is they also combined for 20 assists and 19 rebounds. So it's not just the point productivity that you're going to get from Luka and LeBron. It's the ball movement, it's the rebounding, it's the full package. And the Lakers, who at one point in time this year, people were really questioning whether or not this thing was ever going to possibly win a championship again, have now centered themselves as a real possibility for a championship in Los Angeles. On the flip side, OG Anunoby had 20. Jalen Brunson led the way for the Knicks. He had 39. He shot 50% from the field. Karl Anthony Towns, not a good day. which is exactly why Nick lost this game and were outscored in the fourth quarter by 8. The difference maker in them going to overtime or them winning in regular season. My only concern with the New York Knicks, are they good enough, deep enough? So I was going to say also later in games. So are they good enough later in games, and are they deep enough? Those two questions I'm concerned with for the Knicks as they head into the postseason and try and make real contention of themselves as a potential winner of the championship in the National Hockey League. That there has been a lot of trades, which we are going to save most of for Rocky on Tuesday. But Brock Nelson, a New York Islander, was traded to the Avalanche, okay? And in this deal, okay, the Avalanche sent defenseman Oliver Kinglington, forward Calum Ritchie, a first-round draft pick in 2026, and a conditional, and 2027, and a conditional third in 2028. That is a huge haul. And then the Islanders traded Kinglington to the Ducks for future consideration. So the New York Islanders really looking to make moves here, break some things up. And I don't know if you want to call it a rebuild. I don't like the word rebuild. I think that's a stupid word. I think it's a retool if you're the New York Islanders. So hockey popping off. You got to tune in on Tuesday because Rocky's going to have a lot to talk to you about and a lot of names that we're going to have to go through the hockey spelling bee on because, wow. That's the only way I can describe it. Just wow. All right. Another headline from the last 12 hours comes out of the Toronto Blue Jays camp, okay? Vladimir Guerrero Jr., we've known for a minute that Vladdy was in negotiations with the Blue Jays, and there was a real chance that he would go to free agency after this year. Well, according to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the Blue Jays never reached a deal worth at least $600 million. And yeah, I just said that out loud. The Blue Jays never really reached a deal worth $600 million, so Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays never reached a deal. For comparison's sake, Juan Soto signed a deal for 15 years, $765 million with the New York Metropolitans. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. wants to fall somewhere definitely above the line of $600 million. And I know this is going to sound psychotic, but around the line of 765. And then, about probably 12 to 15 years. He's looking for a deal that if it's not 1A above Juan Soto's, it's 1B right below Juan Soto's. But he's essentially looking to be the second highest paid player in Major League Baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays can't do that. So this is an entire season of what happens for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And I'm curious here. If I am the New York Yankees, I pray that he goes to free agency because the Blue Jays aren't going to trade him interdivision. But if I'm any other team, I'm like, let's see if he hasn't resigned a deal. He's on essentially a 1-year contract right now with the Blue Jays. Once we get closer to that trade deadline, let's see what we can do to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So a lot of intrigue there in Toronto, a lot to watch north of the border for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And finally, your quick headlines, all right? The Los Angeles Dodgers are working on a long-term deal with manager Dave Roberts, all right? They released that on Thursday. Dave Roberts is looking for a deal close to kind of what Craig Counsell signed with the Chicago Cubbies. He signed a 5-year, $40 million deal. Dave Roberts is 52. He famously stole a big base for the Boston Red Sox in the year where they came back and then won the World Series and broke the curse of the Bambino. Dave Roberts has led the Los Angeles Dodgers to 2 World Series. They've essentially dominated the National League West for the 7 or 8 year tenure, and it is deserving and time for him to get his bag or whatever money we believe is deserving for a 2-time World Series champion coach. But if you look at Craig Counsell, okay, who has that 5-year, $40 million deal, you got to say to yourself, well, in theory, the best manager in the league right now should have the highest paid contract. So I'm going to guess when you get the terms at some point, it's somewhere in that range. If you were wondering, He's led the Dodgers to 4 NL pennants, 8 division titles, a .627 regular season winning percentage, which is the highest for anyone who's managed at least 250 games in Major League Baseball. I had been hard on Dave Roberts over the last 5 years of his tenure, but in the last, for the early parts of his tenure, I should say, okay? Hard to count the COVID World Series as a really big accomplishment when there were no fans or anything else to factor into shortened season, all those things. Whereas last year, Dave Roberts winning the World Series with the Dodgers. Now, they have a lot of talent, but you still got to put it together as a coach. How often have you seen the Atlanta Braves over the course of 50 years? Think about the Morgan Wallen song, 98 Braves, right? Think about the amount of times you've seen teams with an insane amount of talent not win a championship. So you got to give Dave Roberts credit, okay? And there's always been injuries. I mean, think about how many times Clayton Kershaw hasn't been healthy in his time as the manager when he was supposed to be their number one. Not anymore, but at the beginning. So you got to give the manager credit, the coach credit. I've always believed that. I mean, I'm a coach, so obviously I'm going to be biased to that side, but it's just the truth. Okay, yeah, teams can be insanely talented, but it doesn't always mean they win. Okay, you got to bring it together the right way, and oftentimes a coach does that. So Dave Roberts has done that, and any negativity at the beginning of my speaking to a microphone career, okay, I don't think he deserves, as I look back now and say, man, he's a really good manager. And sometimes it's not how you start, it's how you finish, right? And so he's just gotten better over the course of his career, and no wonder the Dodgers have continued to get better, or in simple words, continued to dominate. So kudos to Dave Roberts. And it's going to be really tough, not just this year, over the next 5 years probably, to defeat the Los Angeles Dodgers. The World Series, Major League Baseball, I truly do believe for the next 5 years will go through Los Angeles. Unless anything crazy happens, which who knows? I mean, hell, Luka Doncic is a Laker right now. And I can promise you, on October 1st of 2024, there were 0.00000 people in the world that had Luka Doncic being traded from the Dallas Mavericks on their bingo card. No chance. And if you did, I need you to come out and speak, because you also must have a magic touch and you should be playing the lottery, because, wow, you're like one of those people that appropriately predicts March Madness brackets. And you see the statistic and it's like 472,000 million people have filled out the March Madness bracket, and a 7.266% has a perfect bracket. And you're like, what? And it's like 2 of the 437,000 million people have a perfect bracket. You're like, how did you appropriately pick that Bedstand University was going to defeat Microphone Tech? How'd you do it? How? Because Mike Tech has been 30-1 all year, whereas Bedstand University barely got in, winning the Horizon Sunshine League championship at 17-16. So that's those people to me. That right there, that's those people. Let's continue, okay, with the Rome Show. It's 12OZ Sports. It's the Rome Show. We got social media handles everywhere. The Rome Show 1 and 12OZ Sports. Just follow us. You can comment live on the show, YouTube or X. We usually get some comments on the people. It's Friday, though, so I can imagine most people are probably snoozing right now and slowly like, oh, do I want to get out of bed? Do I want to go to work? Do I want to work from home? Man, I should take a 3-day weekend. Listen, chill, okay? Take a second. I'm going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll finish with some football headlines and Alexander Ovechkin and what you're watching, okay? And in terms of the take a day off thing, it's going to get significantly warmer in the next month. So get out of bed, start to brush your teeth, start to get ready for the workday, and save that off day for a Friday, like 2.5 months from now. And I know you'll thank me. It is Friday, March 7th, 7/17. We are the Rome Show. You are the listener. It's on 12-Ounce Sports. We're back after this.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12-Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Yeah, it's the Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube, on X, on Roku, and on Amazon. I'm Andrew Romanella. March 7th, 2025. Hope you're having a good time. I'm having a great time. I'm having a great time every time I'm behind a microphone. I got my Halloween fit on today. No idea how that happens. I got to tell everybody before I go back into the sports stuff, as I was growing up and, mentally, I think I still consider myself pretty young. But as I was growing up, I'd always hear people be like, yo, oh, man, I'm getting older. Like, oh, don't get older. Oh, sucks to get older. Like, oh, enjoy it while you're young, right? And every time I'd be like, I don't want to be like that when I get older. Like, I don't want to annoy people with the fact that I'm older than them. I don't want to annoy them with the fact that as you get older, I guess your body hurts or your body aches or whatever, right? And, I've chosen the profession of baseball coaching, which definitely is a little grueling on the body some days as well. And then I wake up daily for this radio show at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And recently, for some reason, it's like it all hit me where I understand all of those moans and groans any coach I ever had made, anytime one of my parents made it, any older person I'd ever been around that would stand up slowly and be like, oof, okay. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel it now. I understand what they mean when they're like, wow, you could try your hardest to keep your body in a beautiful amount of shape or stretched or nimble, whatever. But the age, the number, it gets to you. So I even realize now how much more impressive it is when a guy plays into 35, 36, 37 years old, because I am coaching on a daily basis, but I'm not getting hit into the boards. I'm not training to be a top tier athlete, right? So I can't even imagine more so how much would have been on my body, how much more stress, how much more my muscles would be tired. That's impressive. So it's kind of funny, as the regular person that's not a pro athlete exists in the world, and you think about how getting out of bed sometimes, you're like, why do my knees hurt right now? Why is my lower back sore? Why is my right thigh? Like, I'm sitting in this chair right now, and for some reason, I'm just getting a little bit of a pain in my groin. And it's like, why? Like, all I've done is woken up, walking to the coffee machine, walking into the podcast studio, and then walked back out. But yet my left quad hurts. And it's just like, well, you're getting older, age. And it's like, dang. So next time you're sitting on your couch and your lower back hurts, but you want to scream and mother the guy on the television because he didn't win you your bananas over the weekend. Like, chill, dog. Like, he's in the 17th week of a National Football League season. He's been crushed 46 different times by Zach Braun and Bobby Wagner. I think every once in a while, later on, he might not be as quick today. And I know he gets paid a lot of money, but I just still can't imagine. So anyways, I just had to make that point as I sat here in a little bit of pain. Deshaun Watson has been in a lot of pain recently, both on the field playing quarterback for the Browns and off the field with his injuries. He retore, I should say, his right Achilles. And it is the third of a lot of injuries that have happened for Deshaun Watson. Now, let's replay this script for the people, okay? After Deshaun Watson was essentially accused by nearly 100+ women for being inappropriate sexually while in massages, okay? The Browns thought, let's double down on this guy. And they traded, all right, 3 first-round picks to the Houston Texans for Deshaun Watson in 2022. Then they signed Deshaun Watson to a fully guaranteed $230 million 5-year deal. An atrociously bad business decision. Since then, Deshaun Watson has had the lowest QBR in the National Football League, okay? Now, just for reference point, Zach Wilson is considered in that group. I hope that puts a real perspective on this for the people. And then finally, has only played. Now, the National Football League season is 17 games, okay? Deshaun Watson has only played 19 games on that $230 million fully guaranteed contract. He has 2 years remaining on that contract and will most likely miss significant time in the 2025 season. The Browns restructured his deal to save a bunch of money. Seriously, what the Browns should do is just get rid of him because there's no winning with Deshaun Watson in your doors. No wonder your best player, Myles Garrett, wants to leave because how can you believe winning's going to exist if Deshaun Watson is continually being your quarterback or if your organization's doubling down on that and fully guaranteeing money to that guy? No chance in hell they're going to win while Deshaun Watson is their quarterback. The Jacksonville Jaguars are essentially retooling their entire team. They cut tight end Evan Ingram. They saved about $6 million. Evan Ingram is coming off the best year of his career, 73 receptions, 766 yards. So he's going to be a tight end that people are going to be very interested in. He's 30 years old, played about 5 years, I think, with the Giants or so, then about 2 or 3 with the Jags. They traded Christian Kirk to the Texans. They got a 2026 7th-round pick back. And then they cut Devin Duvernay and Ronald Darby, saving another nearly $9 million. This comes off the heels of firing their head coach and trying to figure out what can they do to make good of having Trevor Lawrence and not make Trevor Lawrence worse, which it looks like is happening in Jacksonville. Also, in the National Football League, the Bengals have allowed Trey Hendrickson to seek a trade. Trey Hendrickson's coming off the best season of his career. He had 17 and a half sacks, and over the last 2 years, he has amassed 35 total sacks. He's a first-team All-Pro, 4 straight Pro Bowl selections. Since being drafted in 2021, Trey Hendrickson is 3rd in the league in sacks at 57. He's going to be a hot commodity. Clearly doesn't want to be a Bengal. I believe he believes he deserves more money already. I believe the Bengals were going to try and have him play on the last year of his deal and then extend him. Either way, Trey Hendrickson's going to be a hot commodity on the market, and the Bengals need to not Nico Harrison this thing, okay? They need to get the most back for this player that they possibly can because he is one of the best defensive ends or linemen or whatever you want to say in the National Football League, okay? So allowing him to explore trades, you better get a haul back if you are the Cincinnati Bengals. 2 more quick ones. Chargers, they cut Joey Bosa. That ends his career, very much injury-ridden, especially the last 2 or 3 years. Joey Bosa, he finished with 72 career sacks. He was the number 3 overall pick in 2016 for the Chargers. He had 19 sacks in his first 20 games. That was an NFL record. And he won Defensive Rookie of the Year, but has trended downhill. His brother plays for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's see. Who knows? Maybe a brothers unites on the defensive line type deal in San Fran. Then finally, the Commanders have re-signed Bobby Wagner to a one-year deal, 10-time Pro Bowler. He led the team in tackles last year with 132. He also had 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. In Bobby Wagner's 13-year career, which really existed mostly with the Seattle Seahawks, he's had 1,838 tackles, 35 sacks, 100 quarterback hits, and 13 interceptions. So Bobby Wagner continues his career with the Commanders, with which he helped get to the NFC Championship game last year. Finally, I told you we'd finish with Alexander Ovechkin before we get to Whatcha, Watchin. Alexander Ovechkin is 9 goals away from Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal scoring mark at 894. He has 32 goals in his last 46 games, and since coming off the broken leg, he's even been that much better. But that's not the story here. The story here is how great of a guy Alexander Ovechkin is, because not only is Ovi trying to break a record that is awesome, but he is also making it for an awesome cause. He teamed up with Hockey Fights Cancer and will be donating goals for the rest of his career, money per goal for the rest of his career, and is trying to raise as much money as possible while he races towards Wayne Gretzky's record. Here's what Ovi had to say. I'm proud to join the V Foundation and support their efforts to fund life-saving cancer research. Throughout my NHL career, I've met many brave kids battling cancer, and I feel it's important to do what I can to help save more lives from this horrible disease. I want to thank the V Foundation for all their hard work, and I look forward to using my platform and doing anything I can to help further the V Foundation and the Hockey Fights Cancer mission. The CEO from Hockey Fights Cancer, Shane Jacobson, said, "This is a true power play. Alex Ovechkin's summit to greatness on the ice has been a thrill for all hockey fans, and his commitment to funding innovative pediatric cancer research will make a life-saving impact for years to come. We are thrilled to have Alex on our team. We look forward to celebrating his accomplishments and celebrating advancements in cancer research together as we accelerate victory over cancer." Seriously, major kudos to Alexander Ovechkin for choosing to, while probably doing something that is one of the most mentally challenging records to break in his career, while his team is one of the best teams in the National Hockey League and they're trying to fight for a Stanley Cup, Ovechkin understands that there's so much greater than just hockey, so much greater than just a record. And those are the type of superstars we love. Those are the type of superstars that we need and that we need to talk more about, because that already is one of the hardest things to do, which is break Wayne Gretzky's record. But he's now trying to make it the best thing ever. Not just because it's a record being broken, because maybe he saves some lives, helps some young children that need it, and fights against a disease that stinks and people hope to kill as soon as possible. So shout out to Alexander Ovechkin. And it's less about the goals you're putting in the net, but more about the people's lives you're helping, touching, and trying to save. Let's finish this show quickly with what we are watching this weekend. Okay, first and foremost, as I say every single
Watchin.
every single Friday, it is Friday Night Heights in NCAA gymnastics. We are getting way closer to the postseason, but I want you to watch this one. It's UGA versus LSU. LSU, the defending national champions in NCAA gymnastics, but UGA, some of you might not know this, but I know you watched Simone Biles over the course of the Olympics, but Simone Biles' coach is now the head coach of the University of Georgia gymnastics program, and Mike Tomlin's daughter is actually a freshman. So a lot of ties to things that you would know, but it's going to be a really good matchup. LSU versus UGA, 8:30 on the ESPN app.
Whatcha, Watchin.
I'm watching the NCAA Women's Conference Basketball Tournament. That's exactly right. The conference tourneys are a lot of fun, especially in basketball. It's why they call it March Madness. And the women's sides of all of the conferences started yesterday and the day before, and it's about to be the madness they tell us it's going to be. So strap in any point in time, today, tomorrow, Sunday, just check a schedule and you'll find a women's basketball game that's a conference battle in the tournament. And I guarantee you at some point in time, you'll see some fireworks. I'm definitely watching that this weekend.
Whatcha, Watchin.
Finally, it's a classic showdown in the National Basketball Association. It's the Lakers. It's the Boston Celtics. The Lakers on an 8-game winning streak, 9-1 in their last 10. The Boston Celtics on a 3-game winning streak, 8-2 in their last 10. Both teams sit as the number 2 seed in their respective conference. This is also going to be my pick for the weekend. So we pop the music on. Okay. It's a combo platter. We love doing that for the people. All right. And it's Lakers, it's Celtics. It's Saturday. It's 8:30 p.m. Whatever this line ends up being tomorrow, give me the Lakers at the plus. I just feel like they're playing motivated basketball. They're playing really well. And the Celtics, not that they're not really good, because obviously they're number 2 in the Eastern Conference, but having won the title last year, I think the Celtics were floating to the playoffs. And then when we get later in the season, if not into the first round of the playoffs, that's when you start seeing the best basketball the Celtics play. Whereas right now, I believe we're seeing the best version of the Lakers and the most exciting version of the Lakers. I believe they can go across the country, not just cover the spread here, but win. So whatever the spread comes out tomorrow, take the Lakers at the plus. That's what I believe, because they're right now 43% to win this thing. So I believe the line comes out with the Lakers in the plus. Then give me Luka at 20 points plus and LeBron at 6+ assists. What I love so much, I said before about this team, is they're sharing the basketball often. They're moving it around, and they don't care who gets the praise. LeBron, Luka, doesn't matter to them as long as they win the game. That is the Rome Show on a Friday. I can't lie to anyone. That was a lot of fun today. I hope you had a blast. If you missed any of it, Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll be back on Monday at 7 a.m. maybe. All right. If not, I'm in Florida and we're playing baseball. So we might play some reruns next week, but just know it's still great content and I'm thinking of you. At some point, though, next week, I'll be back in live. Until then, you have an electric weekend. I'm Andrew Romanella. Thanks for tuning in, and peace.
Thank you for listening.